This series and this week's talk is the 12 Steps as a Spiritual Journey. And these talks over the next few weeks were inspired by Father Richard Rohr's book, Breathing Underwater, Spirituality and the 12 Steps. Now, when we think of spirituality, I think of spirituality as something that helps us rise above our issues and helps us to connect to the divine spark that resides in all of us. It's not necessarily a religion, but it can have a religious aspect to it. To me, spirituality takes into account our mind, body, and spirit, and it makes us who we are, our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. It allows us to truly discover our purpose and using that purpose to help bring more peace into the community of humans. Now, Richard Rohr, in his book, Breathing Underwater, Spirituality and the 12 Steps, he states, the New Testament called it salvation or enlightenment. The 12-step program called it recovery. The trouble is that most Christians pushed this great liberation off into the next world, and many 12-steppers settled for a mere sobriety from a substance instead of a real transformation of the self. We have all been the losers as a result, waiting around for enlightenment at gunpoint or death, instead of enjoying God's banquet much earlier in life. I personally have learned that the spiritual path is one that's really never ending. For many years, I languished because I had to depend on others, like pastors, spiritual gurus, etc., to help guide me, but they never really would teach me how to walk the path on my own. And it wasn't until I started working the 12 steps of AA that I truly became my own spiritual guide. And we all have these things we need to rise above. We have issues that cause us pain. And in the spiritual realm, these issues keep us from that relationship with the divine. So how do we overcome or rise above our issues? Those in recovery already know the path, and that is the 12 steps. So in this talk, we're going to be looking at the first step, and that states, we admitted we were powerless over the effects of our issues and that our lives had become unmanageable. And I've modified the text from alcohol to issues to make these steps more approachable to everyone. And I will do this with each step we discuss. So what does this step mean? And really, it's about recognizing our brokenness and practicing radical acceptance. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. There are things in life that we can't control. You can lose a lot of energy trying to change these things that are out of your control. And this has negative consequences in your life. So radical acceptance is when you stop fighting reality, you stop responding with impulsive or destructive behaviors when things aren't going the way you want them to, and let go of the bitterness that may be keeping you trapped in a cycle of suffering. Radical acceptance, remember now, is not approval, but rather completely and totally accepting with our mind, body, and spirit that we cannot change the present facts, even if we don't like them. But by choosing to radically accept the things that are out of our control, we prevent ourselves from becoming stuck in unhappiness, bitterness, anger, and sadness, and we can stop that suffering. So here are 10 steps to practicing radical acceptance according to dialectical behavioral therapy's founder, Marcia Lyon. First, observe that you're questioning or fighting reality. You say to yourself, it shouldn't be this way. Remind yourself that the unpleasant reality is just as it is and cannot be changed. Third, remind yourself that there are causes for this reality. And 4, practice accepting with your whole self, your mind, body, and spirit. Use accepting self-talk, relaxation techniques, mindfulness, and or imagery. Next, list all the behaviors you would engage in if you did accept the facts, and then engage in those behaviors as if you've already accepted those facts. Imagine in your mind's eye believing what you do not want to accept, and rehearse in your mind what you would do if accepted means the seemingly unacceptable. Next, attend to those body sensations as you think about what you need to accept. Allow disappointment, sadness, or grief to arise within you. Next, acknowledge that life can be worth living even when there's pain. And then finally, do a pros and cons list if you resist practicing this acceptance. Tara Brach has a practice that's called RAIN. And RAIN stands for recognize what you are feeling, allow the feeling to be there without judgment, investigate what are you needing at this moment, and then nourish, where you give yourself what you need. You can use it with any experience. You can make it a standalone meditation practice and return to it with ease in daily life the more you practice it. It's especially helpful with those difficult emotions and thoughts. So let's practice this. Go ahead and sit comfortably with your shoulders and arms relaxed at your sides, hands in your lap or on the armrest if you're sitting in a chair. Begin bringing your awareness to your present moment experience. Notice the breath going in and out. Now give yourself a minute or two and close your eyes and notice what you hear and feel in the body. What is occurring in your mind? And just allow it to be there without judgment. Now bring up a difficult experience. Hang on here. I'm going to slow down my teleprompter. Just a minute. Now, bring up a difficult experience or emotion. And we'll start with recognition. So just recognize the thoughts that are coming up. Recognize the sensations in the body and that critical inner voice you often hear. Just spend the next few moments just acknowledging the presence of the difficulty. Tune in to the different ways it manifests in your experience. How does this feel in your body? And how does it feel in your emotions? We'll move on to the next phase, allowance, or you can call it acceptance as well. Sometimes with unpleasant emotions, the habit of the mind is to try to get rid of these experiences. So instead of doing that, just allow it to be present with you. No need to judge. No need to worry if it's good or bad. Just allow it to be there in this moment. You may try offering this simple phrase of equanimity and acceptance. It's one of my favorites as well. Right now, it's like this. Continue to work with this acceptance for the next few moments. And when you're practicing on your own, you can stay in this phase for up to 5 minutes or more if you want to. Just remember, always bring the mind back when it starts to push the difficulty away, and just let it sit there and just accept it. Just allow it to be there. And now we begin investigating more deeply. You recognized what you were feeling in the first step of RAIN. Then in investigation, you allow your curiosity to take over. Ask yourself where you feel vulnerable. Ask yourself, does this emotion serve you? And how does it serve you? And ask if you can believe you can be free from this pain. And now for the final few moments, turn toward nourishing yourself with self-compassion. This whole exercise has been a practice of self-compassion as you are tending to the pain with awareness rather than denying it. Tell yourself, I've got this. I am worthy of love. And as we end this practice, make a dedicated effort to offer a few more phrases of compassion and open your heart to the kindness you deserve. I just want to thank you so much for joining me for this Mystic Contemplation talk. Be doing these, going to try to do these at least every week. Hopefully, for Mindful Live Transformations, we're going to start live streaming some talks on the weekends. Make sure to click like and subscribe and ring that mindful bell for notifications of when I post new videos. And I just want you to know that I care and I'm here. If you need me, the way to get in touch with me is in the description. And please reach out if you need to talk. I'm Bob with Mindful Life Transformations, reminding you to stay awesome.